Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon, and we're live here on a Wednesday night. Well, at least I am. Ralph Leary and Will Mannis are going to be here shortly, and they may have to carry the show. Dr. Bob said down in the comments, we are in the midst of Hurricane Francine down here in Louisiana, so at any point, the power could go out. We're going to see if we can get through the next hour, talk some college football with you, preview the week 3 that should still be a lot of fun, even though there's not a ton of marquee games. It's college football. We're back here in the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
Well, we're rocking and rolling here on a Wednesday evening. It is September 11th, obviously a big day of remembrance here in the United States. Prayers go out to the families affected by everything that happened on 9/11, which, guys, it's kind of crazy it's been that long ago, to be honest with you. When you start to read, and I don't mean this in any other light, when you start to read about stuff in history books and you realize some kids don't know what that is, or they really don't know what events like that were, it makes you feel old. And but obviously very serious, and prayers out to those families that still feel the effects of what happened. But college football is on the horizon here on Saturday as we get ready for week number 3. And fellas, this has been a chaotic season. And if there's one thing that I feel like I've learned is that you can throw a prediction out there and you think you know what's going to happen, and until you get through the weekend, you kind of see it, there's really no data points to really kind of base this stuff off of. It feels like it's getting crazier. And we've got a couple games like that we're going to take a look at here tonight, including some SEC matchups, an SEC ACC matchup as well. But fellas, week 3 college football. How's the weather over there in beautiful Columbus, Georgia?
Rainy. It's rained all day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We had a little spot where it wasn't raining for a while, but then it stopped and it came back. So
We're getting the outer bands of Francine up here.
we'll get her later though. We'll get her Friday.
Did you guys see the meme of what people are thinking about down here in Louisiana? Because people down here obviously are very accustomed to the hurricane type weather. I mean, like it just happens, more common. And so a lot of people said, why we name this thing Francine? And it's Francine from Arthur, the kids show, and it's just her head just rotating throughout the country. It's wild. Andrew says no rain in Atlanta. I do believe, like Ralph said, I hope that doesn't impact my flight on Friday from Atlanta to Columbia, which is literally just going to be, Ralph, how'd you describe it?
You'll get to the peak and you'll go right back down.
Right back down. It's like a 35-minute flight. So that's going to be fun. But obviously, we're talking college football. Week number 3, the weather aside, it looks like a lot of these games are going to be, able to be played. And that's obviously a big thing, the safety. I do know that it's kind of interesting. Both LSU and Tulane, the 2 big schools, I would say, in terms of brand in this state down here, they have road games. Now, the biggest question is how do they deal with that? Obviously, Tulane's going on the road to Oklahoma, and then LSU's going on the road to South Carolina. So no games for those 2 programs, but a couple other ones could be in effect. Will, I wanted to introduce a new segment because you don't even know about this, but I wanted to introduce a new segment because I feel like this would be this would be something you'd love. I don't know if we want to call it, sicko moment of the week, or we want to call it just throwback moment of the week, Will's throwback moment of the week. But I do have something for you. Nicholls State last weekend played LSU, gave them all they could really handle as an FCS team, and they have a fullback. And his name they have a fullback. His name is Colin Guggenheim. He ran for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I just thought you'd love to hear that the fullback is alive and well down in Thibodaux, Louisiana.
Well, I know the fullback is alive and well because, during and after the show, I was peeking in during the show to the Monday Night Football game. Kyle Juszczyk on a wheel route. Oh, it's
been one of the best things in the league for the last 2 years.
We need more fullbacks. Bring the fullback back.
Hey, the Chiefs have started bringing one back with Carson Steele, and I'm excited. Even though he's technically a running back, they have him lined up as fullback occasionally, and I love it.
Hey,
I know that as Patrick DeMarco there at fullback for a while.
Hey, I know that as the Gulf Coast offense made by Al Borges at Auburn had Carnell Williams and Ronnie Brown in the backfield at the same time, and it was deadly. It was deadly. Offset I have Ronnie Brown as the fullback. It's deadly.
You got your hormones going a little bit. I mean, you can say that on this show. It's okay. We're not on television. But hey, no, I do agree with you. It's just that's the throwback. Will's throwback moment of the week. Colin Guggenheim, which Ralph can confirm. As I was leaving the parking lot, I did shout out and congratulate him to his family. Ralph, you can confirm that.
It was a weird.
I knew it was their family too. Because who's wearing a Guggenheim Nickel State jersey
Look,
at the
I'll tell you
LSU
one
game?
thing.
We'll
If
see.
they aren't the family and they're wearing that, they need to be part of the sickos community. I mean, that's
They do.
awful. But still, I mean, you
Jeez,
did.
I hope he doesn't watch the show.
Well, I mean, look, if you're wearing a college jersey of someone you're in class with, unless you're in a relationship with that person, it's a little weird.
Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation. Is wearing jerseys past the age of like 15 acceptable? But we don't have to get into that.
If you're wearing a throwback, it's fine. You wear a throwback whenever you want.
Well, it is what it is. All right, let's talk college football. Week number 3. We've got 3 games. Obviously, three games we're going to pick and preview. Then we have 3 games that we are really going to kind of dive into as maybe games that we are excited to watch. And then our best bets of the week, which you've been getting a lot of hate, and I know you're down, but I'm not taking anything for granted. Ralph and I are both 2-1. Will, are you 0-3 or are you 1-2?
0-3. It's over. I'm out of it.
It's not over, Will. We sat nearly you're 2 games back. Okay, you're just 2 games back. You can do this. Let's talk the first game. Ralph, you want to go ahead and throw that up there?
Well, this one's hitting close to home for you.
Ralph, was that a hurricane joke?
No.
Okay.
You're the one who made the jokes earlier. Remember that?
Yeah, that is true. Francine. Look, fellas, I mean, obviously I could sit here and talk for the next 10 minutes on this football game. I've talked about it 3 or 4 times on different shows and podcasts this week, but this is going to be interesting. I will kind of pitch this to you all. This is statistically the best rush defense, and I mean pass rush defense in the SEC, one of the best in the country. They've got both bookend defensive ends and edge rushers, whatever you want to call them. Dylan Stewart, an absolute freak for South Carolina, true freshman. And then former Georgia Tech edge rusher Kyle Kennard that transferred up to Columbia has been very, very good to start off the season. And you're going up against two top 30 picks essentially on the tackles. Will Campbell, a lot of people believe he's going to be a top 10 pick. Emory Jones in that camp as well. So this is essentially the way I pitched this on the radio this week, guys. This is best on best. I've got questions about South Carolina's offense, even though they put up 31. They just capitalized on explosive plays. It wasn't very consistent when what they did. And I don't think Kentucky's nearly as good as people thought they were to begin the season. Those are the 2 weaknesses, perceived weaknesses. LSU's defense against South Carolina's offense. But what I just kind of mentioned, and Will, I'll start off with you here. This is an opportunity to put tape on, or put some really good film on tape for NFL scouts. This is kind of the matchup that I'm excited to watch, as both those edge rushers try to disrupt an offensive line that has not given up a sack all season.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the matchup everybody's pointing to. I'm actually going to go in a different direction. I want to see the interior of the lines of scrimmage, how that plays out. South Carolina's defensive line against LSU's run game. LSU has struggled to run the ball. They're averaging under 4 yards a carry. South Carolina's given up less than 4 yards a carry so far this year. If South Carolina can make LSU one-dimensional, you think that they're going to have a pretty good chance because, you talk about how good those tackles are, but at some point, those edge rushers are so good that they're going to get in the backfield and get in Garrett Nussmeier's grill and make it tough for him to throw it. But, on the flip side, I really worry about South Carolina's offense. They looked really good against Kentucky. They put up 31 points on the road. That's impressive, but I didn't see enough in the passing game to really feel comfortable about this. And that's where you want to attack LSU's defense. You want to attack their secondary. And I have question marks if South Carolina can do that. But I know they can run the ball, and if they can shut down the run, they can shorten this game. The under is looking nice. It's sitting around 50 points. I like taking the under on that number. But if I want to make a pick, I'm going to take South Carolina +7. I think that they can shorten this game and keep it close and keep it within a possession.
You mentioned that. I'm in the middle of kind of my inside the numbers piece for Go 24/7 on this, Will, and it kind of backs up what you talked about. Offensively, the Norris Sellers and company didn't didn't light things up, but they did have 5 explosive passing plays, which is quantified as 15 yards or more. 2 of those 5 went for touchdowns. So it's an opportunistic offense. That's what I would say. Is they took advantage of things.
They're going to run to set up the pass. So if they can run it effectively, they can set up the play action pass and hit those explosive plays through the air. But they're not going to be an offense that just drops back every play and picks apart a defense. That's not who they're going to be, I don't think.
Well, and you mentioned, I think this is also going to be an RPO heavy, thing that they're going to be able to see. Lenore Sellers, Rocket Sanders, wanting to get into that groove. And I've talked a lot about Jacoby and Guillory, the best defensive lineman that LSU had, out for the season with an Achilles injury. I don't care who reported it first, but I will tell you this. I will tell you this, though. When you lose a guy of that magnitude, LSU's interior defensive line was already thin. If I am the offensive coaching staff for South Carolina, I'm saying, hey, we want to pound the rock so in the third and fourth quarter, we can soften up that front seven, but we can also maybe take some shots deep, which is what they did against Kentucky. So South Carolina +7 is what Will's riding on. I'm guessing, are you taking South Carolina to cover but LSU to win in this instance? Are you taking
yes,
that right
I am.
upset?
Yes, I am. I'm going to take LSU to win it close. Close.
Close. I like that.
Here you go. I got a pin. Close. Like Lee Corso does. Close.
And that went over a lot of people's heads. I know it did. Ralph, before I get to you, I wanted to read one more kind of interesting stat on this game. Per PFF, I know they've got some exclusive rights with different people, but I did want to throw this out here. South Carolina has been top 3 the past 2 weeks in pass rush. We talked about the 2 edge guys, but left outside linebacker Brian Thomas Jr., which LSU fans will be like, yeah, we've heard that name before, but in a different light. He graded out at 90.9 last week per PFF, and then Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart were at 77.5 and 70.7. Each of the first 2 weeks, they struggled against Old Dominion, but against Kentucky, they have had 3 of the top 7 pass rushers per PFF. So they're going to get after the quarterback. They're going to do that. I've said multiple times, LSU, if you can't run the ball, you're going to have to utilize a lot of the screen game. I think that's a key in this game, being able to do that. Let's get to that. We got to get to that. SEC versus ACC, Will, and all of Lee County, Alabama is down bad right now. Here we go. This is good stuff. Ralph, I didn't see that. I was not looking at the
comments.
Not
as bad, TriStar. Not as bad.
Yeah.
Not as bad anymore. That your $5 helps a lot. It goes a long way.
Appreciate that. Ralph, walk and talk with me here. I mean, I know I listed out a couple things. Where do you sit on this game? What's something that you're going to be watching?
Well, we talked about how they, South Carolina's going to open up the run or start a run to kind of open up the pass for them. I'm a little weird. This is kind of weird to me. I'm looking at this. Lenore Sellers has 37 attempts on the season in 2 games. He has 30 carries first. I don't know why both of them just walked away at the exact same time on my screen, but I'm going to keep going then. But when you have a team with athletes like this, with Rocket Sanders, you have Mazeo Bennett Jr., you have to start off with a run. You have to trust your run game first. You have to let the Norris Sellers get comfortable back there so teams aren't bringing the rush. LSU's got a good defense. They have good pass rushers. They're not afraid to, send different blitzes in there. Harold Perkins is going to be coming off the edge a lot. This is what they've done the past few years. They've been doing all season so far. This team wants to get in your face. They want to get your quarterback rattled. Well, Norris Sellers can get rattled in this game because he's a younger quarterback. He's not prepared for these moments like this right now. Yeah, both of y'all just walked away at the exact same time, which is...
I don't know how to...
It's this one.
No, I was trying to think he's not here. All right, we'll do that. Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back.
Sorry.
But yeah, back what I was saying. But LSU wants to bring Sam. Look, right now, you're not helping at all. Look, we got people leaving.
Ralph, just stop reading the comments and just finish because this for social media.
Oh my gosh! Look, I can't help it. Both of y'all left at the exact same time when I started talking. So,
well, now we're back. So
yeah,
we're back.
Wrap it up.
Reset.
Well, reset. Yeah, that's good. Let's just go ahead and do our live cut like we always have to. But LSU offensively they have to start a run game. They have to get the run game going eventually. They have to, because you can't let Nussmeier sit back there and get hit by these incredible pass rushers this week. I mean, they're gonna have to throw it obviously to win this game. You have to at least start a run game to get open it up a little bit. I mean, last 2 weeks it's been like you had John Emery in week 1 against USC have a great return, I guess a return game to college football.
Yeah.
Everyone was finally excited to see him play. He goes down. Everything looks like the run game's gone. You played Nichols last week. You didn't have any run game. They ran all over you. But now you have a week where you actually need to run the ball. You have to this week. You're not facing Nichols again. You saw what happened against USC when you couldn't run the ball, or when you were running the ball very well, you were winning the game. And when you stopped running, you were losing the game. So this is where you have to establish a run. And if Brian Kelly and them can't figure it out, I'm going to have to say I might take South Carolina to win this game.
Yeah, when this game was announced as College Game Day, immediately people in the press box were like, "Oh, it's not good. Not good. LSU's not going. That's not going to be something good." Because the reason being is, yes, South Carolina dominated Kentucky. The fans were going to be riled up. But the one biggest thing I've continued to say is that, hey, it's not a night game. If it's a night game, that's going to be brutal. But I have
also
a lot
not
of
in
vibes.
Cocktober.
Very true. I've got some vibes here on this game, and this is just solely based off vibes. I did tell Ralph this. I said, Ralph, you remember when College Game Day went to Athens, and it was Georgia, Arkansas. I'm not saying South Carolina is anything like that 2021 Georgia team, but I'm saying the fact that it was a noon kickoff and that crowd was full force. If Lenora Sellers hits on a big play, or there's a big RPO or a big coverage defensive bust from LSU early in the game, it's only going to infuse the confidence in this team that I think is relatively young in terms of skill position guys, but also help out this crowd that is already going to be loud. They're really going to get into it full force. So,
yeah,
this is a game.
I don't think Sam's going to like this, but Williams-Brice Stadium is probably the most underrated environment in the SEC.
Yes, 110%. And I don't even think that's offensive to Sam, because I think Tennessee's a great environment. But Tennessee's talked more about than South Carolina is.
That's why I said he's not going to like it.
Yeah.
Look at this comment real quick.
TriStar says, what's more likely, Auburn to fix their quarterback or Jacks to actually have good food?
That's wrong on so many levels. On every level, actually.
I don't know. We do appreciate you, TriStar. Okay, so
Jack
Ralph takes South Carolina in the upset. I'm going LSU to win close. But it would not surprise me to see South Carolina win this football game. Actually, on our Go 24/7 podcast, I did take LSU with a backdoor cover. I had this one at a 24-23 score in favor of LSU. Garrett Nussmeier, who has been insanely efficient in terms of passing. I mean, LSU doesn't have a rushing touchdown. They've scored all of their touchdowns through the air. I think he's going to be very good. I think he's going to lead a big drive down the field late in the game to kind of put the nail in the coffin. 31-23 was the final. So I do have LSU covering, but this game started at 9.5, fellas, I think, and it's dropped down.
It's come down.
It's going to keep dropping.
Weather? What's the weather?
It's supposed to be rainy. It's supposed to be rainy, which could affect that. I don't think.
I think it could be a field goal game, and we might see some field goal attempts early, and then it just gets sloppy and make it hard to kick field goals.
And rainy.
Yeah, and then we see both these teams just decide not to kick field goals. They'll go for it on fourth down. I could see that happening.
Which Brian Kelly loves to do anyways. A little too much. TriStar does say South Carolina will make the ACC look good. So, once again, let's review the picks before we get out of here. Not for the show, just out of this segment. Will takes South Carolina to cover, but LSU to win close. I like how we all have three different picks here. Ralph takes South Carolina to obviously just win outright. I take LSU to win and cover. Obviously, because LSU pays me. Literally get checks from Louisiana State University. And,
that's why the LSU helmet's above the Georgia Tech one on the shelf.
Well, it's just pedigree. So that's why.
Oh, God.
That's why Barry's at the bottom.
Well, yeah, just not as much of a history, really. I mean, Ralph, you want to go full screen so I can show the people here real quick?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, so I'm sorry, you can take that off. We got Valdosta State down here. Valdosta State should probably be even with Tech. How do we feel about that? The pedigree of Valdosta State? Have we seen the coaches? Yeah. How mummy the air raid? Like, what are we talking about, people?
Wait,
Mercer should be higher too.
Look, the Falcons one needs to be at the very bottom. It needs to be on the ground.
The Falcons one's about to get took to Goodwill. So
we talk about
don't
the
send
Barry
it to Goodwill.
Vikings.
Mail it to me.
Hey, when you were a freshman in college, when Barry Vikings played LaGrange College and won that game-winning field goal, I'm pretty sure you
nuts.
That's not real.
Hey, Valhalla was lit.
Hook 'em Vikes. That's all I got to say.
That's not real. LaGrange College, that's not real.
One more thing on the helmet situation, fellas. Missing a big time matchup this weekend. I was supposed to be in Rome, Georgia. Benjamin Lloyd says traitor. I was supposed to be in Rome, Georgia, and I was going to get to watch a high school game on Friday night. But then I was going to get and hey, I was going to get to watch Sam Lord's guy, Jaden Harmon, 4-star linebacker committed to Tennessee. But then I was going to go to watch a top 25 matchup at Valhalla. It was going to be a lot of fun. Would have been my first time back. With all,
Not
with
really.
all Dr. Brenner himself.
You were there last year or in December.
We did break into dorms unconfirmed. So there you go. Okay. That's South Carolina LSU. Let's move on to a big time matchup in terms. I don't think anyone saw this one. Well, that's not what I was talking about. So let me reset this.
Oh, I hit the wrong one. Sorry, apologies.
Okay, well now people know what we're doing here. This is just brutal. A top 25 matchup that I don't think a lot of people thought would actually be a top 25 matchup. Bill O'Brien and the Boston College Eagles heading to Missouri. Now I will tell you this. Let's get a hand up situation. All three of us were not high.
My hand is staying down. My hand is staying down.
My hand's up.
It's all because they beat Florida State.
Well, Bill O'Brien and Boston College are heading to play number 6 Missouri. This is a 16.5-point spread, fellas. I was tempted to take this as my best bet and take Boston College to cover. So I'll get this out of the way, or I'll let you go, Will, first. You go first on this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Missouri Tigers and taking them to cover. And this is not because I'm still riding the train that Bill O'Brien was not a good hire, because he's already shown he was a good hire. But I think Mizzou's offense is it's too much. Obviously, they lose Cody Schrader, the SEC's leading rusher from last season, but guys, they still return 79% of the production on their offense from last year. Brady Cook's still there, Luther Burden's still there, Mookie Cooper, Theo Weiss are all still there. I've said it a couple of times on the show that I think they have the best receiver room in the SEC. It's the deepest receiver room. And I did not see Boston College beating Florida State was more to me about Florida State being so bad that they couldn't beat Boston College. It was a lot about their deficiencies on offense, namely at the quarterback position, because they had wide receivers open a lot of times during the game, and DJU just couldn't hit them. And that's not going to be the case this week. So just simply for that reason, I like Missouri big. They can run the ball. I said it before. They bring in 2 of the leading rushers from last season from the Sun Belt, Nate Noel from App State, and Marcus Carroll from Georgia State, 2 really good running backs, a lot of talent there. But it's a 2-headed monster this year for him in the running game. But too much offense for Mizzou. I'm taking the Tigers by 16.5.
I like that. I wanted to add, just to make Ralph a little happy in this sense. Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll, what a tandem. I mean, you have a guy, Nate Noel, who has top-end speed. Marcus Carroll, a guy that I feel like is more in between the tackles, really good at breaking tackles. That's a nice complementary piece. I do believe, and Ralph, before I get to you, I want to get my pick in, I do believe that pushes them into the win column, but I do have – I don't know what this is. I think that Missouri's defense is going to be tested for the first time. We don't really know what Missouri has in the defense. I think that's something that'd be kind of interesting, just a storyline. Like, Missouri's number 6 in the country. Like, are they really the number 6 team in the country? I think we could find out in this game. It's going to be interesting. Brady Cook has not been on fire yet. Could that be something? But I have maintained this. I think this is the best top 3 receivers as a unit in the SEC. With what they have. I mean, it's really, really fun to watch. They haven't allowed a sack, but Boston College's defensive line was really good against Florida State. I'm just interested because, hey, I'll say this. We've already seen one team that's taken down Florida State enter a different test and how they performed. We saw that in Georgia Tech. We still have to figure out the identity of who Georgia Tech is. This is Boston College's identity game. Like, okay, you knocked off Florida State. Florida State isn't who people thought they were going to be. So who really are you? Here's an interesting test on the road. I think Missouri wins and barely covers. I don't think this is a 24 or 25-point blowout, but I could see Missouri winning this game. I'll give a prediction score on it. Like, let's say 41, because I think Missouri could score some points. Let's say like 41-20 21, like something like that. Like I think this could be a very narrow cover of a game.
I was thinking like 41-17.
Yeah, so
But I was making that face because Bryce is taking some shots. I think unnecessarily right there. Taking some shots at Georgia Tech a little bit. Just
Fran Brown forever. Get the Syracuse helmet. No, but in all seriousness, Ralph, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I've been joking with y'all before the show and with you basically, Bryce, all day. Last year we saw around this time Boston College and Florida State played in Boston College, and Boston College probably should have won that game last year. In all seriousness, if I remember correctly, it was the red bandana game for Boston College. So I keep saying if there's a possible way that Boston College wears those jerseys, I would take Boston College to cover the spread easily. Because for some reason they played the best games in those jerseys. And I'm not saying that jerseys mean a lot. They play better for some reason in those jerseys every year. But with a tandem duo with Kai Robichaux and Thomas Castellanos,
Columbus, Georgia native, former Glenwood Gator, Kai Robichaux.
Yeah, exactly. And Trayshawn Ward. Also, I forgot about Trayshawn Ward. I'll tell you who didn't forget about Trayshawn Ward was Florida State. Actually, they did forget about him. But with those three guys in the backfield, it's a hard trio to stop. I mean, Bill O'Brien's been in college and football for a very long time, calling some pretty good offenses. No matter what you think about him, I mean, he's had some pretty solid talent in his years. But right now, I think Missouri's just too good. I think offensively they have, like Bryce said, the three best receivers in the SEC. It's a trio, absolutely. A really stellar offensive line, and you got a general quarterback. I say a general because he controls his offense. He's comfortable in it. He's been here for a while now. He's played against his good teams. He's won big games now, and he's gone in shootouts against really talented teams. And so I think Brady Cook is going to be very comfortable here. I think they're going to have a simple game plan, not have to go too hard, not too far into this, and not have to break out the plays and all that stuff. It's just going to be a simple, we're going to beat you, smash mouth football, Marcus Carroll, Nate Noel, start, run to the outside, hit you in the middle, Luther Burden deep. I mean, it's not like it's got to be so complex. Boston College played Florida State, who's looked terrible this year, and they played Duquesne. I couldn't tell you where Duquesne's even located at, Bryce. And I don't know if Boston College's defense is ready to face a team with this kind of caliber on offense. And do I know if they're even prepared to, face a defense with this kind of talent on it? So I'm taking Missouri to win this game, to cover pretty easily. Y'all are saying 41-20, 41-20, or 41-17. I'm just gonna go like 41-10. I don't.
Wow.
I think Boston College is good, but I don't think they're ready to play this game and at least in score points with Missouri.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, first of all, put some respect on Duquesne. They're in Pittsburgh.
I just said I didn't know where it was. There's another school there.
A lot of good football players.
Bryce loves to talk about the other school there.
They first opened up, here, fun fact for you, as the Pittsburgh Catholic College of the Holy Ghost in October 1878 with an enrollment of just 40 students. So, Ralph, that sounds like somewhere you and I would have attended.
What?
I had 80 kids in my graduating class. What you talking about?
I'm talking about the name, Hey, group of little Pentecostal action there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So, hey, that's, you know what? I mean, we all kind of think Missouri's going to win this game.
It's a Catholic school.
How are you the Catholic College of the Holy Ghost? I mean, that just seems a little bit, who knows? No tongues of fire there. So Missouri, Boston College, I wouldn't mind seeing Boston College win this game. I kind of like Thomas Castellanos, and Will would mind it, just for the record. Let's go real quick. Just say it one more time.
I would mind.
He would mind. Clip that. All right, so that's Boston College and Missouri. Let's roll to the next one.
Look, don't be encouraging people to clip me. I've been clipped enough.
Preview and picks, Texas A&M -3.5 on the road at Florida. Fellas, we were talking about this game. If both teams would have won respectively in week one, this is probably where College Game Day would have gone, down to Gainesville. Instead, you have a one-loss Texas A&M team. You have a one-loss Florida team that – let's talk about Florida for a second. Florida's riding the roller coaster, right? I mean, fans got to see DJ Lagway and loved them against Samford. And they've come out and said Graham Mertz is going to start this football game. And
Both are
Graham
gonna
Mertz
play.
wasn't. Both are going to play.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing. I'll put this right here. Put this. I don't know if you heard about this. Well, we're going to do the. I think you did. I think I mentioned this on Monday or last Saturday during the live show in Georgia Tech. Sticky note stats. DJ Lagway is going to have to take the majority of the snaps for them to be able to win this football game. I think that's my take. Like, I think A&M wins this game. I think that they cover 3.5 points, but they are going to have to play DJ Lagway, and that he has to be that. And I don't even think Graham Mertz is bad. I just think that he offers so much upside that you would live and die with. You'd live with the mistakes he's going to make as a true freshman. But that's kind of my take on this one. We can talk about it more, but just thoughts on Florida in general, Will?
Yeah, I mean, this game all comes down to who's going to play quarterback for Florida. If they play both of them, to me, that just means that they have a plan that I think Mertz will get the first drive and might see how it goes. Maybe the first 2 drives, see how they go, and then Lagway gets the 3rd drive. But then I think Lagway will be the guy moving forward. He made some really good plays. I know it's Samford last week, but he made some really good plays. 21 of 31, 487 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I'm with you. I don't think Graham Mertz is a bad quarterback. He just doesn't make those dynamic plays. Graham Mertz is not going to throw for 487 yards on anybody. I don't think so.
It'd have to be an unreal receiving core and yards after the catch for him to be able to do that.
Yes. So, I mean, the upside, saying the same thing you did, the upside with Lagway is what's going to have them win this game. I think this is going to be a defensive struggle. I do. I think both of these defenses are really, really good. And I can't bet against Florida in the Swamp. So give me Florida plus 3.5. I think this is going to be a tight game, a field goal, come down to a field goal game, and Florida probably covers this game by that hook. Home field advantage, it means a ton in college football, and Florida has one of the best. No matter, it's not too late in the year. The wheels haven't fallen off. The fans haven't totally given up, so they're going to be there. They're going to be loud. They're going to be the 12th man for Florida, and they're going to keep it close.
Yeah.
You just pissed off a bunch of A&M fans saying the 12th man there.
Yeah, you did. Lagway feels. I don't know. I have no clue. Lagway feels like an admission. Ken says that this year is just more rebuilding, which it is. But can UF fans handle that admission? They don't probably want to, but Lagway's the future, and I think he's going to be a stud if he stays in Gainesville. That'll be something big too.
Yeah.
Ralph, your thoughts on this game?
Look, I mean, I completely agree with Will. But honestly, if Billy Napier is smart, he wants to get this crowd behind this team early in the game. That first drive offensively, you walk out DJ Lagway out there. I don't care about what Graham Mertz has done for this team and being a leader. You want this crowd to get excited. Lagway starts that game. You bring Mertz in late, maybe occasionally if he's struggling, but Lagway walks out there. He gets this crowd hyped up. They score in that first drive. This place is going to erupt. And you have this full fan base behind you against a really good A&M team that struggled week 1 offensively, but still looked really good defensively. And A&M, honestly, they just need to bounce back. This is like, I know they had a good game last week. They played really nobody. But this is the game like, okay, you're on the road, hostile environment, new coaching staff. Connor Wegman's got to play his best game.
Yeah.
This is where Connor Wegman has to. We have to see it. Like, we didn't see it week 1. You got banged up. Week 2, you don't really get much information off of him. So this is where it is. This is where we're sitting here now. Is Wegman going to be the guy for them this year and next year? I just don't. I want to see it. I mean, the run game's been good. Le'Veon Moss, if I'm correct on that one. Yeah, Le'Veon Moss has ran the ball really well this year. Cyrus Allen looks good as a receiver. I know the defense is good. I know they can stop them. I just don't know that the offense can score enough points to really, put this game away. I'm with Will. I'm taking Florida to cover, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point, Connor Wegman. You didn't learn a lot against him. He wasn't really used against McNeese last week. And the one thing I'm watching for, because A&M still has some dynamic weapons on the outside, and Le'Veon Moss, like you talked about, is Miami showed you that Florida is very vulnerable over the top and over the middle of the field. And if they capitalize that, remember this is Colin Klein, being the play caller, just his third game down there in College Station. If they can show they can do that, I think A&M wins this game and covers. Like that's why I said that. But because I think Miami gave you enough tape. Now it could be a battle of the quarterbacks. I mean, there's a lot of other players, kind of in this, but I'll say this: the idea of DJ Lagway for me, it just raises the ceiling of this Florida team. I didn't think Florida's ceiling was very high coming into the year, but specifically with this game, this feels like a must-get game for Florida if you want to get bowl eligibility and if you're Billy Napier and you want to keep your job. So, like Ralph said, I don't know if just running him out there, because the biggest thing is you have to see is, hey, can he do that against SEC competition? Jumping from the SoCon to the SEC is a massive jump, but you got to figure out, because with Billy Napier, you may not have next year, or you may not have week 10, 11, and 12 to really kind of figure things out. So I think it raises the floor and the ceiling of what Florida could accomplish in this game.
Yeah, this is also a huge game for Connor Wegman. Like you said, we've seen him go on the road last year against Miami, and it wasn't great. That was an ugly defensive struggle too, that Miami ended up winning. But you bring up a great point talking about Miami putting on tape what you can do against Florida's defense. And Connor Wegman is a quarterback I've gone to bat for a lot. I think he's a really good quarterback. He struggled to stay healthy, but if he goes out and can't perform against Florida, I think at least for me, the narrative is going to change on him that, he's not as good as I thought he was.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't great against Notre Dame. And if he comes out and does it again against Florida, there's going to be a lot of questions asked about him. And I'm sure Aggie fans will be asking those as well. Like, how can we not beat Florida? Florida is a mess.
Yeah.
So a mess that has nothing to lose,
what I think
Florida really doesn't. Florida really doesn't have anything to lose.
They don't. What I think is a sneaky pick right here, if you were doing a best bet, the over at 46.5, because of what we just talked about. I think A&M could put up some points in this one. I don't know if Florida could keep up with them, but I think that they could put up points if you're the Aggies. Yeah, I just think I kind of had written down here in some notes. Also, too, like, how many times have we really seen a two quarterback splitting reps, splitting drives, really keep you?
It never works.
It just doesn't work. So I think that would allow for more volatile situations, like more inconsistencies. You got to pick a guy and go with it.
Speaking of, New Mexico plus 28. Because Auburn's playing two quarterbacks on Saturday.
Is that your best bet?
So.
No,
I hope so for you.
It is not. Yeah. It was a finalist for that, but like I said, two quarterbacks, they don't work. I've seen it too much the last 10 years at Auburn. It doesn't work. It does. You, especially when you have two quarterbacks. Ken's exactly right. If you have two QBs, you have no QB. That's right. And especially when you've got a guy that's a traditional pocket passer like Graham Mertz, and then more of a dual threat guy in Lagway. Because if you run Lagway out there, they're just going to load 8 in the box and make him prove that he can throw the ball. And you take away his biggest weapon, which is his legs. So it doesn't really, it usually never works.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Although
I'm with you.
Florida has made it work in the past.
Chris Leak, Tim Tebow combo was pretty nice.
That worked out pretty nicely.
And that's about the last time they had competent quarterback play, except for Kyle Trask in the past 15 to 20 years.
How are you going to slander Jeff Driscoll like that?
That joker has made a career in the NFL, by the way, somehow, and that's all.
Yes, he has.
Shout out to
Trey
Jeff
Burton.
Driscoll.
Trey Burton had a couple good games for Florida.
Yes,
played tight end in the NFL.
Hey, Cam Newton went to a Super Bowl. So there you go.
He won a Heisman too.
Won a Heisman too. Didn't jump on that fumble, but man, and he's got a podcast, and he wears hats. That's a look at our week three games. All right, folks, fellas, I think we've got this down. Let's go into talking about what are we talking about now? No, we don't have that. I'm typing this in. Just games to watch. We
got one.
Yeah. Okay, you got one. Perfect. So, just your game to watch. Who wants to lead off with this? Maybe a game that you're keeping tabs on.
Well, I'll start one off because, and we mentioned it earlier, Bryce. It's the Friday night game, Arizona State, Texas State. It's an underrated matchup. Me and Bryce is both best bets from last week. Facing off. That is it's tomorrow night. Apologies, tomorrow night. They don't have a spread for this game because it's too close for comfort. I would take Texas State. I think Arizona State looks really good. Offensively in the first half last week against Mississippi State, they lacked to change anything offensively at halftime. It almost blew the game. Texas State looks really good for a Sun Belt team. They destroyed UTSA last week. So, it's a fun matchup. A little Big 12 Sun Belt matchup. There's a Big 10 Sun Belt matchup on Saturday. Don't watch that one though.
I won't be. I will not be. Ralph, it's the battle of the party schools. That's what's floating around on social media. San Marcos against Tempe. That's going to be apparently Texas State, and we know Arizona State is.
I'll say this. I will say this about Texas State. They have one of the coolest traditions. If you graduate from there, there's a river that runs through campus. You jump into the river once you graduate. It's kind of cool. I see a lot of videos of it. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hey, real quick, I don't want no free shout outs here, but Chris Phillips is going to be in Columbia, and he told me to hit up this barbecue spot. I've been dying for some barbecue because they don't have that down here, or they think they do, and it's not that. But I'm going to be hitting up. I'm excited to be in Columbia, South Carolina this weekend.
So you're telling me that pig tater I sent you earlier made you miss country barbecue?
No, that reminded me of what I saw in my daughter's diaper about an hour earlier.
My
so
God.
Yeah. I've never had the big tater at Country's, to be honest with you.
Didn't have to go
missing
there.
missing out, dude.
Yeah. All right, Will, what's your game to watch this weekend?
I'm gonna go with 2.
Okay. Is it Auburn, New Mexico State?
No.
Okay.
A couple of noon kickoffs. Alabama travels to Madison, Wisconsin, to Camp Randall, takes on the Wisconsin Badgers. Alabama didn't look great until the fourth quarter last week.
Ralph, are you confused?
No, yeah. I'm wondering what he's going to say.
He was throwing me.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, do we freeze? I didn't know what happened.
Sorry.
How does Alabama look going on the road? They're a 16.5 point favorite. And I do expect them to win. I do expect them to win. Could be. Wisconsin quarterback Tyler Van Dyke. Alabama's faced him before, and it was not pretty. Although different Alabama, different Miami team. So I don't know how much that will really factor. Want to see what Alabama's going to look like on the road for the first time. And then the other noon kickoff, Memphis at Florida State.
Yeah.
Did y'all see the videos from Florida State practice?
Yes.
It was not a good look.
DJU turning around, handing the ball off.
Individual quarterback drills and water gun drills is what they
were. Chasing him in the background with a water gun.
Yeah. Look, those drills, everybody probably does them. They're probably very good, but that's just not a good look when you're 0-2. You look like you're having too much fun. They look like they're having too much fun to be 0-2. Memphis wants this game. Ralph, sorry. They look great against Troy.
Why are you saying sorry to me? I agree.
Because it's Troy.
You suck.
Their offense looked good against Troy. And this is a game. This is a game Memphis has had circled. Mike Norvell, their former head coach, especially Florida State comes in 0-2. They're going to smell blood in the water. Memphis is not a program that shies away from playing up. Has Florida State gotten any better? They had a bye week. Are they going to be any better?
Look, they returned. They brought in South Carolina's number 1 running back last year, Mario Anderson. That dude's an absolute freak. He's a beast. Seth Hannigan, great quarterback. He's been starting since he was like 17. By the way, people didn't know that. They said about 20 times on the broadcast on Saturday. He's been playing since he was 17. Terrific. You didn't know. Memphis is really well coached. They're a solid team, offensively, defensively. The spread is 6.5 is scary.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say Memphis can cover that because they shouldn't be able to, but Memphis might go up and win this game. The money line's at 220. Will.
Where is this game?
It's in Tallahassee. They wouldn't be dare to go play in the Liberty Stadium over there.
Liberty Bowl. Awful stadium.
Awful looking stadium.
Andrew says Florida State should schedule the Citadel, saying this is a South Carolina fan, not a Georgia fan just this week. What were you saying there, Ralph?
I have one more. I'm not going to take yours, I'm pretty sure. Because I know which I meant to say another one earlier. I'm gonna go UNLV Kansas this weekend. That's a Friday night game.
That's Friday night.
Yes, at Kansas, a 7.5 point spread. If you're like Will and I, our team's not playing this week. You want to
Is Rutgers off?
Rutgers is off this week. Okay, Rutgers is off this week. 7.5 on the road. UNLV is 16-1. I'm pretty sure against the spread in the last 17 games.
Uh-oh.
You need to go, Bryce.
Can you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? Just kind of like that storm you were doing when we were playing Call of Duty earlier today, Ralph. That was amazing. All right, my games to watch. Obviously, Friday night, there's a big one. Oh, Dr. Bob says, actually, I don't think Memphis is that well coached. Ryan Silverfield is a step down from Mike Norvell. Can't win big games. Yeah, I mean.
Well, your coach leads. You can't do anything about it.
Listen, just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it can't. And this is probably the best opportunity Ryan Silverfield has had as Memphis head coach. Yeah, they played in big games, but this one hadn't had blood in the water like this one.
Okay, I've got one here that I think is a pretty trendy pick for the game to watch.
North Carolina Central at UNC. That's what you're going with, isn't it?
I'd rather throw up. I'm going to watch two really good quarterbacks go at it. Arizona, Kansas State on Friday night. That's going to be a fun one. That I think, on Fox, both teams 2-0. You have, an early Big 12 showdown. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch this game. And so that's like my big one. And then one that I think I'm keeping an eye on, like obviously Tulane, Oklahoma is one that a lot of people are excited about. But fellas, I'm interested to watch Notre Dame, Purdue. Not that I'd ever voluntarily sit down and watch Purdue football, but how does Notre Dame bounce back? Gavin says New Mexico money line. How does Notre Dame bounce back? If this is a 3:30 kick on the road at Purdue, if there's one thing Purdue has done, I know they used to do it under Jeff Brom, they upset the big dogs. That's what they do. And so can Notre Dame bounce back on the road where they didn't really look explosive? That's a game that I'm going to be keeping my eye on because I think a 2-loss Notre Dame team is out of the playoff. I think they are. And a loss to Northern Illinois.
Absolutely.
And Purdue, just two poverty programs. I think it is what it is. No, not poverty. We like Northern Illinois, not Purdue on this podcast. You can get that money though at Purdue plus 340 if you want to, go for that upset.
I want to mention one more. It's a program that we I think we all like. We'll leave it at that. Vandy at Georgia State. Georgia State, 10.5 point underdog, and this game it's going to show. Is Vandy any different? Like, is Vandy different than what they have been? Because this is a game in recent years that Vandy has been very susceptible to drop. Now, it's weird. They're going on the road to a Sun Belt team. And I think Vandy should be able to handle them. But this is, is that in the back of Vandy's mind? Like, we really got to show up. Diego ain't ready for the Dell show. Well, Diego knows all about the Hugh show, and he's not scared of that. So, just is Vandy different than what they have been? Is this a different Vandy team?
Yeah, I agree, Will. I think this is the game we find out how Vandy really is because this is a game that in the past we would think they probably lose. So,
also another big game for me: UCF at TCU. Big 12 champion UCF Knights.
Vandy lost to UNLV in Vegas last year, so there's kind of that group of 5 game that they dropped. They lost to Stanford on the road 3 years ago, and they almost lost to UConn. And then one more going back to 2019, kind of proving that what you were talking about year in, year out. They lost UNLV again, and they lost to Purdue on the road. So there's games that they have a chance to win, but they don't necessarily take advantage of the opportunity. I think Diego Pavea is a very good player, and I'm excited to watch him come into Death Valley week 13 or whatever it is. That's gonna be a fun one just to watch him play against this porous LSU defense. All right, fellas, it's that time. Let's rock and roll. Let's get this. It's time for best bets. Once again, remind you of everything is brought to you by betonline.ag. Make sure you use the code believe podcast. They help us do everything that we're doing. They bring this show to you each and every single week on those platforms. So make sure you give them a follow, and you can use code believe for a nice matching money figure when you want to place your bets. Do that responsibly. Okay, let's do it. Will, you're 0-3, so we're going to let you go first. And here we go. Here's Will's best bet. He is going against Mike Gundy.
0-3. Staring down barrel 0-4. I'm going Tulsa plus 20.5.
Oh, no. Oh,
What?
no.
Oh gosh.
What?
Can you talk? Can you give me a check?
Check.
Oh.
What happened?
We might have a bad mic cord. Can you give me an unplug and plug back in?
I'll just go ahead and do mine.
Yeah,
I'll just go ahead and do mine real
Okay.
quick.
Go ahead.
Bryce, I'm going a rivalry game here.
Okay.
This is a very underrated rivalry game. It's called
Okay.
100 Miles of Hate. We got West Kentucky going into Mid Tennessee State. Mid Tennessee State looked terrible last 2 weeks. They almost lost to, I think, was it Tennessee Tech at
Yes.
home. It was
Yes.
Tennessee Tech's first ever FBS win in history. I like West Kentucky. I have in the past. They've always got some really good players and good receivers that have gone on to be pretty solid NFL players. You got a veteran quarterback who's lost to Alabama 3 different times in 3 different schools, aka
Not sure what that has to do with this game, but okay.
Just have to bring it up every time because there's some people who watch this show who love TJ Finley for some odd known reason.
Who is that?
Gavin.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's Gavin. Big TJ Finley fan, apparently.
Well,
Anyways.
Ralph, counterpoint. Middle Tennessee State's head coach is Derek Mason, who
and they
was
almost
the
lost
DC
to
at
Tennessee
Auburn.
Tech.
So what's the counterpoint there?
He was Auburn's DC when TJ Finley was at Auburn. He knows how to stop him,
Mm.
which isn't too difficult. Keep him
I
in the
wish I would
pocket.
stop
I mean,
him before he took the field.
he can't run.
Just
Either
keep him off
way.
the scooter.
Yeah.
Keep him
I
off
think
the
West
scooter.
Kentucky's got a better chance.
Yeah,
This game.
this too. Amari Kelly, former Auburn Tiger. Yep, that one too.
Okay.
Let him know.
I'm still going to take West Kentucky -7 on the road at Mid Tennessee State. 100 Miles of Hate. It's a fun rivalry. Didn't know there was a rivalry until like about 2 weeks ago. So now I know.
Will, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, Tulsa plus 20.5. I got reasons for it here. I got a lot of notes. This is a trap game for Oklahoma State. They're coming off their double overtime win against Arkansas. They should have lost. And after Tulsa, they have Utah and Kansas State up next, 2 really big Big 12 games. I think Tulsa should come in being motivated, being the little brother, getting to host Oklahoma State. That's going to be a big deal for them. They've looked pretty good. They played East Carolina and Tulane. They beat East Carolina by 2, lost to, everybody knows how good Tulane is. They only lost to Tulane by 2. Big issue for Oklahoma State in this game. Colin Oliver, their best player on defense, their linebacker, he is out. Will not be playing. He got banged up against Arkansas. Oklahoma State's offense, and I felt this way about their offense all offseason. I don't think their offense is very good. It's Ollie Gordon, and that's basically it. I think Alan Bowman needs to get a job. Joker's been
2 weeks in a row
college,
he said this.
Yeah.
Joker's been playing college football for 6 years.
Still the oldest guy in college football.
That is true.
That'd be Miami's tight end.
Yeah, you're right. They struggled offensively against South Dakota State. They only had 6 more total yards than South Dakota State. They pulled away and won that game, but really the big difference was 4th downs. South Dakota State went 0 for 4 on 4th downs. Oklahoma State went 2 for 2. That was really the difference in that game. Oklahoma State is 119th nationally in net yards per play margin. Negative 1.83. That is feeble. And their defense played over 90 snaps last week, so I think the game plan is going to be to run the ball, try to give that defense a break, and I think it'll be a closer game. I think Tulsa can keep it within 20.5.
All right.
A lot there, but I feel good about it. I got to get in the win column. I had to do some research.
I'm hoping to go to 3-1 with this pick, and or 2-1. What do we?
Good grief.
Yeah, I changed mine.
This
Here we
is-
go.
Dude, that's sicko committee right there.
Penn
That's
State
Where's
plus 49 at
Where's
Tennessee.
Sam?
I'm going for the letdown factor. I capitalized last week on this aspect. when I went. It was not my best bet, but I did hedge little funds on this one at Northern Illinois plus 28.5. I think Will's texting Sam right now that are you
I am.
watching this? I say Kent State plus 49. I think Tennessee's going to win this game handily. I just don't know if they're going to beat them by 49 points. And so that's pretty much where I'm sitting with this. I couldn't tell you one thing about Kent State other than the fact that I don't think they're very good. But what is Tennessee going to win this game 63-0? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they
Well,
might.
Also, Kent State is on the list for not being able to cover against Pitt, and Cincinnati's on the list for losing to Pitt. So
If you lose to Pitt, you're bad.
They're on the list.
Yeah, I'm taking Kent State plus 49. That's kind of where I'm going with that. Did y'all talk about Shannon Sharp?
No,
No.
no.
We didn't. No, we
You have to
didn't.
do your own research on Shannon Sharp.
Called Google. Safe search. Hey, we appreciate you watching. Hope everyone stays
Hey,
safe. out
Bryce,
there.
quick thing.
Oh, go ahead.
We're gonna shout out to a former guy we got an interview from a few years ago, Mid Tennessee State's running back Jaden Creedle, former Carver Tigers.
Yes. They got a solid team. I think Gary Mason could do a good job up there. Dr. Bob says the spreadsheet is updated, and we're not watching that.
We're about to
I will
watch it.
direct you. I will say this. I will direct you to a live stream that happened a couple nights ago if you want a good time. And it does
What about the one
involve Ralph.
yesterday. We direct them to the
Yesterday
follow-up
and today. We'll link that down below. Hey, thanks so much for watching. We appreciate it. Once again, hurricane season, so we're going to try to get a Georgia Tech VMI preview out tomorrow if I want to do that, or to talk about the Georgia Tech angle of things. And then obviously make sure you check out everything in the podcast feed as we will get ready. Week 3 college football is here, and we'll see. Fellas, are you guys down to go live Saturday night, or is that out of the equation?
I'm down.
Out of the equation for me, possibly.
What you got going on? You ever here sending me Instagram reels?
He don't know nobody. He ain't
I'll
doing
explain later.
Well, Ralph's doing some shady stuff, and that's all we'll be able to talk about tonight. He needs to get on that live stream with Shannon Sharp. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Will Manis, Ralph Lair, my name is Bryce Koon. This is the Crowded Booth. We'll catch you next time.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.